Continuing coverage of the 2024 Saluki Hall of Fame class, the coach, Rick Walker, joins us going in from Saluki Swimming and Diving. 32 years, Coach Walker? Does it seem like 32 years? That's how long you spent here.
I'll tell you what, it seems very similar to like my marriage. It seems like I got married yesterday. Yeah. Coaching 32 years here, it just blew by. And, I'm a firm believer in, if everything is going good and you're having a great time and things are gelling, time does pass quickly. When it's not, that's when you need to worry. And I did not need to worry on this. It flew by.
26 years as being the head coach. When
Yeah.
you look back at building the program, what about the building part of the program do you still hold on to and you're most proud about?
I guess, I was fortunate because we had a history of great coaches and a history of great athletes. So I hit the ground running. It's not like I had to restart, change anything. So I was very blessed and fortunate for that. I think if you ask me about stats, you're going to lose me. I can't tell you my stats. They were important, obviously, to the athletic department, wins, losses, and records, and so on. But what mattered most to me is I can tell you we were 64 semesters, academic All-Americans. So those are the things that to me suggested whether you were successful or not. When I get calls from former athletes that say, hey, I'm engaged, or hey, I have my first child, those are things that when they left here, you continued what their parents had started and gave them a catapult into a successful life. And therefore, they're champions in life, and that's what we wanted.
What was it about here that when you were having the success, you wanted to stay and keep building?
That's a great question. And, I thought I was going to be here 3 to 5 years. But, when Doug Ingram left, provided me an opportunity to stay. This is a great place to raise a family. It's a great family community, very supportive community. And I could go other places, make more money, probably more recognition, all kinds of things. But when you leave something that's so good, you forget you've given up all those things. And they better have it. But what entices you are the things that you think you don't have. And the reality of it is you've got everything right here if you just stay and build. And so I was committed to that. I'm very proud of, how I left it.
We could spend all night, Coach Walker, going through the individual accolades, but I know one of the big overarching times for you was the 5 straight championships, the 5-peat there in the 90s. What was it about those teams that made them so good? And to have a stretch like that, it's not very common. You see stretches like that.
Yes, it is very uncommon. But, I think it was a matter of mentality. They just didn't perceive them being anything but champions. That's probably one of the hardest things to coach. But once you have it, and the freshman class that comes in, there's an expectation that they're going to pull their weight to win because the other 3 classes have won and they don't plan on losing. So when there's a break in that, and it's inevitable, it's human nature, it's inevitable. You see it in pro sports too. So when there's a break, it's a time to rebuild and interject new things because times change, generations change, training practices change. So you interject that into the program at that time, trying to strive to get back to that championship.
When you got the call that you were going into the Hall of Fame, what was your first reaction?
I cried. And don't get me started here. It's something I think everybody would want. I didn't think, I try not to think about it too much. Quite often I would get asked, how do you want to be remembered? I'm not in control of that. And I'm not in control of a Hall of Fame or what people perceive me as in order to go into a Hall of Fame. I'm very honored and humbled that a committee or a group, felt that I was deserving of that.
You spoke very highly of those who came before you. Now to those who come after you, what's it meant to see still current Salukis be able to make Olympic Games, to still be able to compete for championships and build off of the tradition that you were able to also build off of?
Another great question. So, I think the legacy a coach strives for is when they leave, that it doesn't fizzle out. Well, then I haven't done my job. My job was for them to be good without me. So then I've imparted on and bestowed, traditions, expectations, and so on. With Jeff Hansen and his staff doing the things that they're doing, for me, I get a little bit of honor out of, it didn't die after I left. So obviously he could hit the ground running. And I stayed away from the program. He needed me to stay away. 32 years is a long time, and it's pretty hard to come in and replace that. It needed to be his program, and I purposely stayed away. But it is clear that I didn't ruin the program. Time for change was good, and Jeff has done a wonderful job of carrying on that legacy.
Coach Walker, congratulations. Enjoy the night.
Thank you so much.
Once
Greatly
again,
appreciate
that was
it.
Head coach Rick Walker, now a Saluki Hall of Famer.